All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're breaking down a massive business crisis, a real pressure cooker situation where the entire fate of a company rests on one person's shoulders, and they've only got minutes to decide. So, I want you to put yourself in this person's shoes. You are the launch director. The clock is ticking. You've got just 30 minutes to make a call that will either save or destroy your company. No pressure, right? Let's talk numbers. This is what you're looking at if you decide to play it safe and cancel the launch. That's a guaranteed, right now, $1.3 billion loss. And just so we're clear where that number comes from, you're looking at losing an $800 million contract plus a $500 million penalty because you didn't deliver. It's not a maybe, it's a sure thing. A hit that would absolutely crater the company. Okay, so that's the quote-unquote safe option. But what's the other choice? What's on the other side of this coin? To really get what's at stake here, we need to rewind a bit and see how we ended up at this just impossible crossroads. All right, so the company we're talking about is Transglobal Transit. You can call them TGT. And they're not some small startup. They are a huge player in high-speed transport. These guys have been around for about 20 years, always pushing the envelope. But the really important part for our story today is their recent track record. For the past 2 years, their Phoenix Hyperloop has run hundreds of passenger trips perfectly, flawlessly. And that success is exactly what's setting them up for this disaster. And you have to understand, TGT has this core policy, this mantra, on-time performance at all costs. Now, that's not just some motivational poster on the wall. It's written into every single major contract, especially the massive $800 million one that's hanging in the balance right now. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. It turns out that all that success, that perfect record, it's actually created a huge, dangerous blind spot for the company. So on one hand, you've got a system that is absolutely proven. It's worked hundreds of times under normal conditions. But on the other hand, today is anything but normal. We're talking severe, sub-zero temperatures, conditions the Hyperloop has never, ever been tested in. This is completely new territory. And this is a classic business case study in something called risk normalization. It's basically a psychological trap. When things go right over and over again, your team starts to get comfortable. They get used to success, and they start to tolerate little issues, thinking, it'll be fine. Those small risks become the new normal. But the problem today isn't some minor anomaly. This is a 5-alarm fire. The engineers have just come to you with a last-minute warning. They think there's a very high probability that critical seals will fail in this extreme cold. And if they fail, we're talking a catastrophic derailment. And the worst part? There is 0 time left to test their theory. So this all brings us back to you, the director. You're in the hot seat with 4 possible choices in front of you. And let me tell you, none of them are good. Each one is, in its own way, an existential threat to the company. Okay, option 1. You go for it, you execute the transit, you write a memo acknowledging the risk, cover your bases, but you push the button to save the company's finances. I mean, look at the trade-off here. It's just brutal. On the plus side, you secure that massive contract, you avoid the penalty, and you stick to the company's on-time policy. But the weakness column? Wow. You're potentially sending people to their deaths, you're completely ignoring your own engineer safety warnings, and if something does go wrong, the legal fallout will be astronomical. So it all boils down to this one question, right? Is that 2-year perfect record enough evidence to bet that the system will hold up? Or are you just willfully ignoring a brand new variable that could be fatal? All right, let's look at option 2. This is the complete opposite. You scrub the launch right now, safety first, and you just eat that massive financial loss. The upside here is obvious. Nobody gets hurt, you've eliminated all risk of a disaster, and ethically you've done the right thing. But the downside is just as certain. You trigger that $1.3 billion loss, which will almost certainly bankrupt TGT. Your company's reputation for being reliable? Gone. And you're basically opening the door for all your competitors to swoop in. It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, you absolutely save lives, which is huge. But does it even matter if the company that built the whole thing is gone in 3 months? Okay, option 3. This one's a bit more political. You don't make the decision. You punt it up the chain of command to the chairman. So you shift the accountability to the board. It's not your neck on the line anymore. But think about the downsides.
You're burning through that precious 30-minute window. You might look like you can't handle the pressure, and honestly, the chairman's main job is the financial health of the company, so there's a really good chance they're just going to tell you to launch anyway.
Which really begs the question, if you do this, are you actually delegating a tough call? Or are you just looking for someone else to blame for the launch order you're pretty sure is coming?
And that brings us to our last option, number 4. You turn to your team, the experts in the room, and you put it to a vote. Majority rules.
The nice thing here is that you spread out the responsibility. It's a shared burden and everyone has buy-in. But a democratic vote isn't exactly the best way to make a critical safety decision. You could get what's called go fever, where peer pressure pushes everyone to make a risky call. And again, you're wasting what little time you have left on a debate. So there you have it. The clock is ticking. Financial ruin is a certainty one way, and a catastrophic failure is a possibility the other way. You're the director. What's the call?